Hey everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy live stream. Switching it up a little bit with the Tuesdays. Actually gotten on here. Usually what's up,
Hey,
Rebecca?
what's
Usually
up?
usually the first couple minutes are like how about now?
I can hear you. I can't see you. Can you hear me?
I can. That's kind of weird.
Huh.
If you want to try jumping out and jumping back in, we can, but everything looks good on my end, so
All right, let me do that real quick.
sure. All right. Well, that was Rebecca, and she's going to jump back in here in a minute. Um, and we'll get her on here. Talk to her about her music blog. Any better?
I can see you, but I can't see you, but I can hear you. This is so freaking weird.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Are you on your phone
Yeah,
or on a computer?
I am.
Okay. Lehigh Valley with Love, thank you for joining. You can check out his live stream. That was like 2 weeks ago or something. We took a break last week. So thanks for jumping in. Had a good conversation about RoboCop and some other fun stuff. So check that
Hmm.
out when you get a chance. Angel says, I can see and hear both of you. Okay, so kind
I
of a
guess that's what
bummer.
matters.
Yeah, I guess I'll be a little bit more on the anonymous side tonight.
For once.
But yeah, we'll make it work. So thank you for
Yeah.
joining. And yeah, we'll get started right here off the top.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, hello and welcome to the Bellwether Ritual live stream, where we discuss music, the local Lehigh Valley, PA scene, bands, social media, and more. Today is Tuesday, November 28th. Tuesday, we usually stream on Wednesdays. We're actually switching that up, so just a heads up to anyone who's watching this later on. We are moving to Tuesdays so we can rehearse on Wednesdays. And yeah, Rebecca, thank you for changing that date for us and being here with us tonight. My name is Mike, and I'm the vocalist, guitarist of Bellwether Ritual. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. There's lots to be thankful for. We'll be hibernating the rest of the year so we can buckle down and do some recording and start booking for 2024. So looking forward to that. Also looking forward to tonight. Our guest is Rebecca of Rock Metal Mayhem Music Blog. Rock Metal Mayhem Music Blog started in 2014 as a promo page for all kinds of songs and bands, and their goal is to promote underground musicians and bands to a wider audience from all around the world. We'll talk about all that and more. Rebecca, thank you for joining. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I
Besides not being able to see too well, but yeah.
Yeah, other than the technical difficulties that I
Yeah.
always have with my phone at the last minute,
Uh,
other than that, I'm doing pretty great tonight.
Yeah, good. You're not alone there. We struggle through technical difficulties all the time.
Yeah.
We will be moving. I should mention. Well, it's probably too early to mention, but we will be changing formats a bit with the live stream coming up, but we're not quite there yet.
Awesome.
All right. So right off the top, is there anything you like to plug? Where can people find the blog, or what's the best way to follow you?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm only on Instagram, Rock Metal Mayhem Loud, whatever you see here right now. That's my only account for music. Um, I tend to stay anonymous on this account just because, I don't really see the point in showing my face on this account per se. This is all about the bands, this is all about the music. Doesn't really make sense for me to come over here and just like my face be all up in everything.
Yeah.
So That's why I wasn't necessarily hesitant to do this live stream, but it's definitely like the first time in a really long time that my face has been on this account. Like I used to do live streams way, way long ago when I was a wee 16-year-old trying to get more people involved, trying to talk to other people. But yeah, now I just kind of stay anonymous on this account. But yeah, I post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Typically, I reach out to bands, or sometimes they reach out to me, but usually I'll reach out to bands. I follow over 4,000 accounts on this account, so I have a lot of bands in my orbit that I see every day. Do I always listen to every single 4,000 bands? No, but that doesn't matter. They all deserve some recognition. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I used to do a favorites Friday a little bit more often. I've just been so like busy with school. I'm in college. I'm a senior in college, so it's a little hard to remember what music I like and listen to. So I tend to just give that Friday away now to other bands, but I try to schedule things a bit ahead. So recently I've been really consistent with my posting just because I've been able to schedule things so far in advance. Thank God for that feature on Instagram.
Yeah.
Allows me to just plug stuff in that bands send to me and boom, it goes up. But if you are a band and you want to get any sort of promotion on my page, whether you want me to share like an upcoming flyer or anything like that, it's absolutely totally free. I've been doing this since 2014, so almost 10 years now, which is scary. Yeah, just send me a DM. I try to check them almost every day, but again, I am busy, and things usually end up in like message requests, and I don't see that. But yeah, you typically just ask for, if it's a show flyer, just send me the Instagram post and I'll repost it on my stories. That's where all like, hey, we have a new album coming out. Hey, we have this show coming up. That's where all of that stuff goes. And then any certain post like on the main page where you want like your band to get promoted or anything like that, it's just a picture of your band logo or an album cover. Usually stands out a little bit more to people, because if I just see your faces or just the people in the band, people can't really tell, like, so what does this band logo look like? What should I look for on the Instagram? So I typically ask for a logo, an album cover coming up, single cover, anything like that, and then just a biography. Anything you want people to know about your band. This is who we are, this is where we're from, this is what we sound like. We have a single coming up in a month or two or 10 years. Just send me that. I basically copy and paste it into a post, and boom, it goes out. So that's my shtick. That's what I've been doing for way too long now, and I'm gonna continue doing it for as long as bands start coming out of areas.
Yes, and thank you for doing it. I found a lot of bands just by following you, and a lot of shows too, like the local stuff that you like. You know, you think you follow a lot of bands, and then you realize there's people who are like follow way more
Oh
and
my
are
God.
into.
Dude, even just being in the valley, like I'm from the Poconos originally, so
Okay.
I'm just a little bit above the valley. I'm based in Stroudsburg, so I just know like Sherman Showcase and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I know those bands and like, the open mic scene and stuff. And honestly, the Poconos is just a bunch of jam bands and a few good punk shows here and there.
All right.
So I think I know everything that goes on in the Poconos, but I don't even know everything that goes on there in terms of music. And then the Valley is such a mixed bag. You have like your Ice House shows, which are usually like indie bands, groovier bands like that. That's not normally my genre. I've been to the Ice House, I think, once or twice, and I've never really stayed for the full show. I know that's terrible, but it's just not really my thing. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it gets boring to me after a while, but that's not to take away from, their talent, their abilities to, like, get people to shows and their fan base and stuff like that. But then you have places like the Fun House, you have Planet Trog. I'm sorry, I'm the biggest Planet Trog fan on the planet. You cannot. I saw you guys there at your first ever
That's
show with
right.
Cyclone 9 at the Trog. That was a journey.
That was so random. It was like, yeah, we'll play a laser tag arena. Of
Oh,
course.
have you been to the back room of that place? It's a
Yeah.
pellet skid with a carpet and a beam in the center that I think holds the
Yeah.
entire place together. It's really just a trip over there. But yeah, I've seen some great bands there at Planet Trog. I saw Enterprise Earth and Within Destruction over there because that's a place they go. Cyclone 9 out of
Yeah.
nowhere on a Monday in Whitehall. Like,
Yeah.
It
They
was
they
so
pull
wild.
they pull a couple
Yeah.
rabbits out of the hat there for booking bands for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
I do feel like all good venues should have like a pole that's very poorly
Yes.
placed right in front of the. I feel like that's
The
kind of a requirement.
worse the layout of the venue, the better. Like at this point, everybody in the valley and their mom, whether they were of age or not, has been to the fun house.
Okay, I was
It
just gonna
is
go there.
it is a termite canal with barely, it's not a stage, it's a nook. And they just kind of put you against the wall. I've seen buzzard dissensions and signs of madness there, right?
Oh,
Nice,
that's
good metal
a good
bands, right?
show. Yeah.
Oh, we were running into each other like madmen. There were people over here like by the bathrooms, like down the stairs, like grooving, and then there's me and like a single file flat Stanley line in front of all the bands, and we're still like running around and punching and shit. We broke a glass and we were all just like, no, back away. The lead singer of Buzzard, Terry, he was barefoot, and there's just glass on the
Ooh.
fucking floor, and we're just going at it. The valley is truly a journey. That's
I
what I
would
have
say
to say
so.
about the valley.
Yeah, that was one of the places I was going to bring up. Was the Funhouse actually? Metal Paparazzi 86. Thank you for joining. If you have questions for Rebecca, you can drop them in the comments below. Yeah, it's like if they would just go long ways instead of the short way, I feel like they can have a much better show. But I think they would have to move like the bathrooms and stuff.
Dude,
So I don't really think that would be happening.
that thing is just a long cigarette. That entire venue is literally a long cigarette. They still
Yeah,
smoke indoors in that place.
that's true.
Too much hair. I can't. I'll go up like a dead Christmas tree. I really am just always afraid. Every time I've gone there, then I'm like, am I going to light up on fire tonight?
Yeah.
I think that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, and always like super late too.
Oh, yeah, because that's when, like, that's when it's like 10 o'clock, the show starts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, people are nuts.
You know why that is? I didn't realize this until actually George was on the live stream. Right next door is Godfrey Daniels, which is like a
Oh,
Christian
yeah.
singer songwriter.
I love Godfrey.
Yeah, so they go till 10, and if the bands start before that, they're connected to the wall, so you can basically
Oh
hear them.
gosh, poor Godfrey Daniels. It's such a sweet, humble,
Yeah,
quiet. I've seen Suitcase Junket at Godfrey Daniels. By the way, Suitcase Junket, I would live and die for that man. But it's a very like acoustic. Anything that's electric is always like down, quiet, no distortion. God forbid.
yeah,
And then next door you have the raunchiest cigarette you've ever seen in your life, and it's just the fun house. So and that makes a lot more sense now. They're trying to be considerate.
yeah. It's like it's kind of weird to have two music venues right next to each other like that, especially that are so different.
Right,
Like the Angel on one side
right.
and the Devil on the other.
Oh my God, it really is the angel and devil of Northside.
Yeah. So speaking of venues, do you have any favorites? Like obviously you shouted out Trog, which is that's always just a crazy play. I think that's been around for so long, and
I
I can remember
it
actually
looks
playing.
so it's so sketchy from the outside. Like I've taken friends there so many times, and they're all like, "You sure about this, bud?" And I'm like, "Watch this," and I
Yeah,
open it. It's either the back room or the laser tag room, and they're still like, "You sure
yeah,
about this?"
yeah,
I'm like, trust me, I got this. I've seen so many bands there. It's such a great spot, and I love that it's all ages too. That's such a
yeah.
rarity anymore in the valley. Like, you know, I've only been 21 for 1 year, so I remember the times of like, can I go to this show? It's 25 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Shit, it's 21 plus. Can I go here? Nope. Can I go here? Nope. So, Trug, Alt Gallery,
Oh
who
yeah,
else? Ice House again. Those are the ones that are all ages. Those are honestly the only ones in the valley that I can think of that are all
is
ages. Like it's kind
oh,
of crazy just how bad it is with like if you're a kid who wants to get into the scene, like you honestly it's really hard to do it unless you're like willing to give up your basement to put on a show.
have you ever done that?
Another venue, Sherman Showcase, they're bringing punk back. January 7th, they got Parasitic, Sinbin, Powwow, Suburban Downgrade going over
Yeah,
there. So
yeah,
that's
very cool.
great. You also got Keystone Stage up in Oliphant, Pennsylvania. So for anyone in like Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area, that's another great spot. Um, Sokals in Bethlehem, I've only known of like one or two things going on over there recently, but I know that that's another place that is like more than welcoming for all ages stuff usually.
I was
Um,
actually going to ask you about that one because I wasn't sure if it was or not.
um,
But yeah,
so I've been to the punk rock flea market there at one
okay.
point, and I know that they had like an after show
Yeah.
that was open. So, yeah, as far as I know, they are willing to be in venue. I just don't think a lot of people are utilizing it much because I hardly see, you know, I hardly see shows from the Valley bands that are like, yeah, come to Sokals.
Yeah.
Um, Curry Donuts, that's one venue that
Yeah. Great.
I
Yeah.
still haven't gone there. I feel so bad. Like I see, and here's the thing. We need to start holding venues accountable for marketing.
Okay.
We need to start
Talk to me
holding
about that. Yeah.
Planet Trog, if it wasn't for Lewis from Endless Era Promotions or for these bands who just like, abuse the living crap out of their Instagrams, we wouldn't know that there were shows there. Like, because first of all, people are like, it's Club Kerrigan's. No, it's Trog. It's the Trog.
That's
None of this
exactly
Club Kerrigan's. It's
yeah.
Trog. Thank you. Um, but yeah, like so many venues, their social media is just quiet about what shows are coming up. Like Curry Donuts, I don't think they've posted anything on like Facebook from like May.
Yeah.
So, it's really up to these bands to promote, which sucks because it's like, not everybody follows the bands, but everybody probably follows the venue. So we need to start holding these venues accountable for marketing because they got to get people to their shows. So why don't they try to get them there? You
It's a
know?
good Yeah, it's a good point. We had George from Curry's on the stream maybe about 3 or 4 months ago.
Hmm.
So yeah, we could definitely actually we're looking to book up there at some point, and yeah, we will definitely promote. That
Yeah.
brings up a good point. So where does the onus, do you think, you hit on a whole bunch of things right there, but just really quickly, I feel like social media and marketing is something that bands and venues kind of shy away from. Um, do you have any like tips
Oh my
or
God.
yeah.
Um, well, first of all, I think it's completely absurd to shy away from social media. Like, I think one of the things that has really, I'm all for DIY. I'm all for people doing things the old-fashioned way. Like, staple your posters, like wheat paste your entire town. I am so for that. But we cannot say like, oh yeah, I don't do social media, I fucking hate social media. Well, then you must hate having a band
Yeah.
because like you must hate having people come to your shows. You must hate people listening to your music,
Hmm.
you know? Like I understand social media is a dumpster fire, but it's a helpful dumpster fire. You just got to know how to do the dumpster fire.
Right.
So like, there's ways to like boost your posts on Instagram. Yeah, it's a little bit of money, but like, pay $10 and for a week Instagram force feeds people your show, and just like always being consistent with it, like it takes 10 seconds out of your day to
Hmm.
say, "Hey, here's the venue, time, place, all ages. Here's the lineup. Check them out here, and then repost that on your story every freaking day. You can also like link your Instagram and your Facebook or this account and this account. You basically literally post once and it's everywhere. So it's weird to me how easy it is to do social media, but people seem to refuse to do it for their band, Because everybody's on social media now. It's very rare, unless you're in like Philly, to like, hey, I'm going to go up to this telephone pole and see what's going on in my town. No, it's all on social media. And there's websites out there dedicated too. I think there's one for DC. I think it's called like Heavy in DC or something like that.
Hmm.
That's a whole blog about like, hey, we have shows coming up in DC. Here's this one. Here's this one. To find their place in social media and be consistent with it. There's got to be at least one person in your band or one of your friends who's like, yeah, I know how to use Instagram vaguely. Just tell me what to put on there. It's that
Yeah.
easy.
Or a rock metal mayhem music blog,
Yeah,
you know?
I heard they're kind of weird, but yeah, like something like that. It's that easy.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oneida79, thank you for joining. Angel says, helpful dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate, right? But you can get fire from that and take it to the top of the mountain and let people know what you got going on.
Yeah.
So I used to think that like what I used to do when I was playing in a band and when I was younger was like all I have to do is get really good at my instrument and be as just put out as good music as
Hmm.
possible, and everything else will take care of itself. And it's so not that anymore, or it never was that. I just thought it was that, and that was kind of like a hard thing for me to understand and wrap my head around.
Right, right.
Yeah, so I just think maybe there's I would venture to say a lot of other bands are in a similar position and they can't really get past that somehow, sometimes to their own detriment.
I would
And
say it's a good, you can't have one without the other.
there you go.
Because I know plenty of bands whose social media marketing and like who they work with and end up getting sponsored by and all this stuff, it's out of this world. Like I never stop hearing about them.
Mhm,
But then when you do go check them out, it's all bark and no bite. You know what I mean? Like there's some bands out there that just have the most amazing marketing,
mhm.
but they don't have anything to really back it up. But
Yeah,
then on the flip side, I know plenty of bands who, you know, I've seen them 10 plus times. I've driven 3 hours to go see them in some bar.
yeah,
And their marketing, it's like I never know when they have a show. It's by sheer luck that I know that they have a show coming up. So at some point, the music speaks for itself, but also right now, where everything is so social media based, where everything has to be posted online, 37,000 hashtags shared to everybody, basically force fed, you know, it's, you have to find that balance, but you can't give up one for the other,
for
you know?
sure. And people get salty. Like I've seen lots, and I gotten salty myself. Musicians are like, well, why is this band getting all these opportunities over that band? Like, oh, they're not very good. Blah 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 blah. It's like it's not just how good you are. It's how much of a community you've built and how much you engage with people and reach
Are
out
you
and
a
invite
good
them.
person in general? I
There
know
you go.
plenty of bands that I have followed them for so long and they've broken up so many times because the people in the bands are just
Yeah.
dicks. Like, I know so many people where I like mention a band and they're like, ooh, no, we don't book them anymore. And it's like, why? What's wrong with them? They sound great. Look at the crowd they pull.
Yeah.
They're dicks. They talk down to fans. They talk down to the venue. They trash the venue. They never do this. They don't do that. And it's like, you know, I understand that sometimes you do walk a fine line. Like you have to be so like, you can't say this, you can't do that, you can't go here, you can't associate with these people, you can't play with these people, otherwise you're the dickhead. But
Right.
at some point, you also just need to not be a dickhead as a person in a band because you reflect the band.
It
So
that pays dividends for sure.
yeah, like I know plenty of people who are in amazing bands, but it's like, dude, you need to get off your high horse.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people, especially when it gets to like the small town bands and they break out of that small town a little bit
Yep.
and all of a sudden it's like, dude, they're completely different people and it's so annoying. It's like, you know, you started here too. You're also from bumblefuck nowhere,
Yeah.
you know?
Which is a great place to start from because then it's like nothing, nowhere but up,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
rock bottom rarely has a basement. Sometimes it does, but usually you can easily go up.
I like that. Rogue Target Band, thank you
Yeah.
for joining. We're trying to get them on the
Oh
stream.
shit, you've played Coven, haven't you?
Rogue Target, yeah, they
Yeah,
have.
I'm pretty sure I saw them at Coven at one point. I've heard of them for sure.
Okay, cool. I think I was there for one of the dance. You know, they have like dance music there too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Brad,
Yeah,
Brad
yeah,
Scott
yeah,
Smith.
yeah,
Oh, I would live and die for that man. I love him.
yeah. Very cool. Yeah, Rogue Target. If you're drop a comment in there and let us know how that went. All right. So, oh, real quick, do you play any instruments or have you played in a band at all?
Oh, so my two guitars that I haven't played in a good 3 months are staring at me as you ask that question.
Okay.
So, my music journey is kind of weird. When I was 11, I picked up the violin. Um, and yeah, played Coven a couple months ago. Yeah, you guys were awesome. I definitely went to at least one of your Coven shows. But yeah, so when I was 11, I picked up the violin and I played that for about 5 years, I want to say.
Okay.
And then I discovered metalcore music like Bullet for My Valentine
Oh yeah.
as a good 14-year-old. And I started to slowly trickle into bass guitar. at first because I was like, holy crap, how does it sound so low? It shakes everything in the room. I got to play this. So I did that while still playing violin. You know, my violin instructor, he just played every string instrument. His room was half the size of my dorm, and it was just loaded with instruments everywhere, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
So I'm like, I want to play that one. And it was a Carlo Robelli
Oh,
bass that had no frets.
yeah.
No frets. Not one.
Oh,
And I
that's
was like,
perfect.
I can play that. I have a good ear. No, I don't. So I have a good one for violin where if you move a little bit over, you're in the completely wrong note. But on bass, it's pretty convenient. It's pretty lenient on you.
Yeah.
So I did that while still playing violin. You know, my mom wasn't going to let me put down the violin anytime soon. And then I got into the School of Rock Music program out in Easton.
Oh, very cool.
And I did that for about 3 years. But at that point, I was into guitar. You know, I had put down the violin lessons. That was a bit of convincing. And then I did guitar with them for 3 years. Typically, I only did the Saturday shows because I was living in Stroudsburg and I was still a school student, and my mom wasn't going to let me give up school to go to be in School of Rock.
Sure.
So I did the Saturday shows. Those were fun. It was definitely a give and push and pull because I had like the guy who like thought Eagles was the craziest shit. You know what I mean? Like that was his threshold. And I'm over here like, we need to play Megadeth. So I did get an AC/DC solo. I got
All
an
right.
AC/DC solo.
Very
That
cool.
was my peak metal moment as a 17-year-old. I did that for 3 years, and then COVID slapped everybody in the face at that program. And you know, it's very hard to practice as a band over Zoom.
Amen.
So that was terrible.
Yeah.
And then once I got to college and stuff like that, I was mainly in the open mic scene.
Hmm.
I never thought that music and 2014, like right around the time when I found metalcore and stuff, was when I started this account. So I was 14 on here being like, you guys want to listen to my sugar? So yeah, that was my start. Um, yeah, so when I got to college, I discovered like the open mic scene, like open Old Mill Pub, Black and Blue, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I would just go there every once in a while. You know, I liked music, I liked playing it. I was so scared of singing and playing, but like guitar, throw me on stage at Rivals and I was good. So that kind of like broke me into the scene a little bit locally. And that's when I started looking at, like, I knew some of the bands in my area, like, you know, Blind Choice, Ultraviolet when they were still playing for a really long time. I think, yeah, there were a few bands that like came and went all the time in my area, so I knew about them. But that's the open mic scene was where I really was like, oh, you're the one who hosts this thing. You're the one who books this show. You know, so that's where I kind of got in with that. And yeah, I used to go to Northampton Community College, but now I'm down in South PA
Hmm.
in college, and I'm way too busy for open mics around here. So now I'm just kicking it on Rock Metal Mayhem. But yeah, that was my like music journey. I was never fully in a band.
Hmm.
Just because, like, I never was really interested in being in a band. I was more interested in being the audience member
Yeah.
at shows. You know, I was always way too critical of myself, and I would have been a horrible bandmate. I would have always, like, forgot about practice, and then when I was would be at practice, I would just, like, hate myself the entire time and just fuck it, go home. So
Yeah.
I've learned to be an audience member through that.
Well, you are much appreciated, especially like you're saying, like people. I always find it odd because I do know a bunch of people like that are super hardcore into music,
Hmm.
um, but they do like to be in the audience rather than on stage, and I always find that interesting.
Right.
So yeah, we definitely appreciate you very much. Um, so the transition from, I mean, starting off on fretless, that's got to be a challenge. But I guess the
I
violin.
thought I was the king of the world. I did not think I played a wrong note ever. I thought I was just the stuff. And funny enough, my first guitar that I owned,
Yeah.
right? It was a gift, and it was an ESP, like Kirk Hammett
Yeah.
ESP guitar. It had a Floyd Rose bridge.
Oh yeah.
That was my first guitar, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to tune it. You know, it's the morning of my birthday. Like, oh my god, I got this sick new guitar. It's black. It's got skulls on it.
Yeah.
And I go to tune it, and I don't know what string locks are. What are you talking about? String locks, whatever. And I'm like going, I'm like, huh. this isn't changing. I really got to crank
Yeah.
it. Break, 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 break. And I'm looking, I'm like, huh, they're all broken, but they're not hitting me in the face. What? And I just hand it to my teacher, and he's like, these are all string locks. You got to unlock it. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And so, yeah, it was definitely, yeah, I'm terrible playing music, truly. Like, I play like 4 chords. I do my little Carole King songs, you know,
Yeah, hell
keeping it simple.
yeah.
And then I go see other bands like Morbid Cross, Cruel Bomb,
Mm-hmm.
Dissensions, Buzzard, and I'm just like, how the hell are you people doing this? How?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I feel like there's a balance to be struck there too, because we have this conversation all the time. It's like, are you a technical player or are you a feel player? When you're writing songs, is it like throw everything at the audience at once, or do you try to keep it simple? Like,
Right.
do you have a preference at all with that kind of stuff when you're listening to bands?
Well, my music range is so insane, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can probably name you more Backstreet Boys and Cher songs than I could, like, Metallica, like, genuinely.
Yeah.
But, I think with things that are so technical, I think at times it's almost difficult to follow. Like, things like prog metal, I'm really, like, it's still taking me
Yeah.
time to, like, wrap my head around prog metal.
Yeah.
I'm amazed by it. I will never say that they're a bad band. It's just like I cannot wrap my head around 17 minutes of math. I just
Yeah.
can't, you know? So I love punk bands, but at some point it gets too crunchy sounding, you know? Like at some point it's just the same thing over and over again. So I'm one of those people, I know one song from 1,000 bands.
Okay.
You know, I can name at least 2 to 3 songs from at least every band that I've ever listened to.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely do I have like full discographies of bands. Very rarely do I ever buy full albums
Mm-hmm.
of bands unless they actually like every single song blows me out of the water. But even then, my music taste is so all over the place that like albums are still hard for me to wrap my head around because it at some point does end up sounding the same. It's the same band, duh. So I don't know. There's some songs that are like, you know, the complex, the technical, the super intricate music, like theory stuff. I don't know what you call it. But those are great sometimes. But I'm also like, you know, Jack Off Jill is one of my favorite bands. They're one of the few bands that I know more than 3 songs from. And they're not, you know, they're not that difficult. They're not that complex. But there's something about them that I'm just like, oh my God, I love this, you know? And then you get bands like Morbid Cross, who, by the way, one of the best thrashing deathy thrash metal bands to come out of Jersey ever. I will die on that hill. You know, their songs, they have a little bit of everything in each of their songs. So even full albums from them, I'm like, yes, I am all for this. I don't care that the song is 9 minutes long. It sounds different every single step of the way, but it still keeps that Morbid Crossiness about it. You know what I mean? So like, some albums people are like, every single song sounds different. This isn't the real band. And I'm like, great. I need that. I need the variety. I cannot listen to a full 10-song album if it all sounds like the same song, you know?
It's crazy how that's changed. Geode Riffs, thank you for joining. Yeah, it's crazy how that's changed because I can remember a time before the internet, and back then, like,
BC or AD?
you would get you would get like a record, and you would sit and listen to the whole thing and stuff like that, and then you would have bands that would be kind of like genre bending or whatever, but people wouldn't be able to like grasp it because it's just too all over the place.
Right.
And now, like, post internet, it's just like that's the norm now. Everyone's got like these crazy playlists that are all over the
Right.
place.
Right. I think it was like a year ago or something like that, where like the album is dead. It's the playlist now.
Yeah,
Where
that's crazy.
like, you know, it's no longer like Anthrax. Anthrax and every single song, just straight up Anthrax, 10 different versions of the same Anthrax,
Yeah.
right? Now it's kind of like, you know, you have your ballady song, you have your more technical song, you have a song that's clean vocals, and then there's one that's scream. Like I remember when Whitechapel came out with The Valley, and it was like I think that was the album where it was like the first time that Phil Bozeman did clean. and everyone lost their goddamn mind. It's like, what is going on? This isn't metalcore. This isn't Whitechapel, man. It's like, calm the hell down. It's great. When a demon defiles a witch, it's both his screaming and also like the clean little notes here and there. It's the highs and lows. You can't just listen to it. At some point it sounds monotone, but this little break in between, it's like, oh, refresh. You have your like little low moment, and then all of a sudden, boom, here comes Phil with the vocals that he, the toilet bowl vocals that he's always known for. Boom, here they are, and they hit so much harder because he started here. Exactly. So I think people need to get off their high horse. That's what it is. People getting on their high horse like, I was there when they were a real band. Calm down. They're still a real band. You go do what they do.
Yeah.
You go do what they do and be as good, if not better at it. This is them. It's just they're trying something new, and look, it's working.
Yep. I love that. I think that's one of the things, even like all the way back to like Black Sabbath, like they would always say, like, to have something feel really heavy, it can't just be like on 10 the whole time. You have to like give people a break.
It gets monotone. Yeah. Even things that are so like, you can't imagine certain bands like me calling, I don't know, I love deathcore, but I think a lot of it has gotten monotone. Like, I can't call, it's insane to say like, oh, Thy Art Is Murder is monotone. Well, he sings, he screams at this level. Yeah. He rarely goes up. He doesn't really go down. It's always here, and it's always the same. Like, everything is a blast beat. Everything is a super fucking high BPM. Yeah. At some point, it's like, we get it. You can do this. We know you can. What else can you do?
Exactly.
Like
are you doing
that
this
part.
To show?
And oh my God, people who are like, I miss the old Thy Art Is Murder. It didn't go away.
Yeah,
there it is. It's on Bandcamp. It's on YouTube. It's on the CD that you just bought. What are you talking about? It's gone. It's right there. Listen to it. You want old Thy Art Is Murder? Boom, there it is. Yeah. Let them do something else. They've done the same thing for 10 years.
Yeah, you'd think it would get boring for the bands too to just pump out the same stuff.
Right?
I guess some bands,
right?
Some bands want to change it up. Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Geode Riffs says, same with Sleep Token. Their music goes all over the place and then has that sweet Sleep Token sound. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I love Sleep Token. First of all, I love them musically. I just got to take me back to Eden finally on vinyl, right? Of course, there's some songs on there, like Don't You Wish That You Loved Me, I think is one of those songs where it's like, okay, I don't know what they're doing here. It's not really my thing. But overall, I love what they're doing, Yeah. I think I love it more because it pisses so many people off. I love how good and popular they have gotten. And I love that it makes so many old metalheads mad. Because it's like, do you want to sit... Love Immolation, I think they're a little interesting. Do you want to have the same stagnant metal all the time? And this is coming from me, right? You've seen my page. Do you want the same stagnant shit that's been coming out since Possessed? Or do you want something that's a little bit like, hey, let's try it? And what's so hilarious to me is it's the same people who like, oh yeah, I got fucking thrown in the dumpster in high school because I listened to Onslaught. It's those same people that then go to the Sleep Token fans, to the clean metal fans, and they're like, your music sucks. It's not real.
Yeah.
What? People... It's not. If you don't like it, it's not for you to like. If you don't get it, then it wasn't made for you. Move on. Yeah. That's it.
Let's see. Geo Riff says also Sabbath is the GOAT. Yeah, I would agree with that one too.
Duh. I don't think that needed to be said, but duh.
But thank you for saying it anyway. So with Sleep Token, real quick, I want to get your opinion on this because you are someone who is mostly anonymous on your channel. Yeah. And they are, I guess they're masks or whatever they're kind of.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Slipknot right up there.
Yeah, just what do you think about that side of things, and like how much of the theatrics do you want to see when you're going to a show?
Right. I made a comment I saw Cattle Decapitation last night,
Oh, cool.
and it was
Where?
Immolation, Sanguisugabog, and Castrator. I went to Baltimore Soundstage since I'm in South PA right now, so Baltimore is like an
Oh,
hour away from me.
gotcha. Okay.
But I made a comment to a friend of mine, and I said, Immolation looks like 4 animatronic stepdads on stage. And they're all standing there stagnant, and they just have their 1 or 2 movements with the
Yeah.
guitar. That's it. Nobody's performing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I love Sleep Token. I love bands like Ghost. I know that already pissed everybody off, but like I love bands who take the time to perform.
Yeah.
Bands like Dream Theater, Animals as Leaders, Rings of Saturn, where they are so super technical.
Yeah.
At some point, I really am just watching a guy stand still, super still, and his fingers are just moving. I'm amazed by it regardless, but at some point, I'm just like, all right, yes, we know.
Yep.
What else? So bands like Guar, bands like The Residents, the
Shout
guys who like brought it out, The
out.
Residents, big eyeball guys.
Yeah.
Bands like dude, even Pink. Pink gets fucking cannonballed throughout her shows.
Oh,
You
I didn't know
know?
that.
I love that part of it because like it adds to the flavor of it, like you get excited seeing this crazy shit happening. Like when I saw Guar in 2000,
Yeah.
oh god, when did they play the Sherman Theater? Like 2016 or something like
Oh,
that. It was
yeah.
on election day.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, did they have a field day that time?
I'm sure.
And it was great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I want to see the theatrics of it. Ghost, when you go see Ghost, they have a stained glass background going up to God, and they have all of these things. They have the mask, they have the Pope costume, they have fire, they have everything. I want to see that. I want a show. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
like
And I
even
think.
Cattle Decap last night. They're a death metal band. That dude was flying across the stage. He was screaming at everybody. They put in, they have the big hair and everything, and they're just flying it around the stage. I want to see that at least. My buddies in Morbid Crust, that dude is crawling through the crowd, screaming his fucking head off.
Yeah.
Bring the theatrics. Like, who else does it? Powerwolf? Or
Yeah.
any black metal band, honestly, with like at least the corpse paint. That you can see they put effort into it. They're not just, all right, here you go, guys. Here's my fucking gross t-shirt that I've been wearing for the last 4 days of this tour. And, even Blackie Lawless still does it. That man is literally dead and he's
Yeah.
still performing, right? It may be propped up. It may be Weekend at Bernie's, but here we are still performing.
Musician goals.
Right, right.
Let's see. Oh, man, you just said so much there. I think
I
you're
have a
right.
talent of doing that. I should have warned you.
No, if you see me furiously taking notes, it's because I want to remember
I
stuff
can
to
see
ask
you
you
at
about.
home still, so go on.
You brought up a great point, and I say this all the time too. Like when people want to get super technical with their instruments, like remember, you have to play this in front of people and entertain them. It's not just about how well you can play your instrument.
Right.
So I love that. Real quick on the Guar front too. Let's see. Greg Amistides, thank you for joining. If you have questions for Rebecca, you can drop them down in the comments below. Guar, I've seen them a couple times. One was when there's an old venue in Allentown called Crocodile Rock, and I went with my friend. I've told this on the stream before, but I went with my friend, and he's like, "I'm going up front," and I'm like, "All right, dude. Well, you have a good show, and I'll meet you outside at the end." And I just didn't want to get involved with it. And then I go out and I'm waiting for him in the alley, and he comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, Mike." And I turned and looked at him. I didn't even recognize him because he was
Pink.
purple and green from head to toe.
Yep. Blood and
Yeah.
alien jizz. Let's
Yeah.
go.
And that's the kind of
Yo,
stuff you were
Fester
doing.
Gar, what the fuck is up?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for joining. If you have questions, you can drop them in the comments. Yeah, but I always love Guar, and even they've gone through so much too, and they're still out there doing it.
Yeah, man. I don't even know how old they are at this point. They got to be artifacts at this point, how
I
long they've
think,
been doing it.
yeah, they're
By the way, I'm
beyond.
an archaeology major, so I'm going to make a lot of really stupid references about that. That's why I said BC or AD. So
Okay, cool.
just letting you know. Yeah, like I fucking love Guar. I've seen them once. Miss May I was their opener, so I'm like, oh, you poor things. But yeah, when I saw them, I was 16 or something like that. I wish I brought it with me to school, but I had a blue denim battle jacket, and there were a few patches in the front that were white, or at least had white lettering. They are now pink.
Yeah.
My blue denim vest in the front is now purple. So that vest can tell stories. But yeah, I also made, so I'm one of those people. I made a poster.
Oh, cool.
In my room back home, my entire wall is covered in posters that I have made because posters are too damn expensive. So I made a big ass Guar poster with the bat, the eyeball bat.
Yep.
And I put "Let Us Slay" in big old letters.
Nice.
I held that thing up. It is pink. It is pink with glory. It has a few green spots. It was a journey. I couldn't even stay for the whole show. It was a school night. It was a Thursday because it was election day.
Yeah.
My mom was like, "You gotta go to school." So it's like 11:30 and I'm schlepping out of the Sherman and I'm just covered in blood. And I sit in the car like, "Hi, Mom." And she's like, "You're never going to a concert again."
Yeah. Did you have a good show, honey? Yeah.
No, my mom, she's real traditional, you know what I mean? She's not. It was real difficult for me to introduce her to the fact that I'm now listening to Bullet for My Valentine and going to see Guar.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I gave her hell all through middle and high school. I gave her hell. She was so tired of me. And then when I was able to drive myself places, oh my God.
Yeah.
She never saw me a day in her life. I was just like, "Mom, I'm going to Jersey. Bye."
Yeah. Well, bless her. Let's see. Oh, Fester Gore has a question here. If I read your name wrong, apologies. Like, I need glasses really bad. Says, seen him live 9 times over the years. Fucking love him. Yeah, how can you not, really?
Yeah. 9 times. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, right.
You must be stained pink forever.
Permanently, yeah. I always wonder, like, who cleans up after a Guar show? Like, they just roll through.
I feel bad for music venue. I work at a music venue. I feel bad for people who have to clean up confetti.
Yeah.
You know, that shit sticks to everything. The floor is always covered in beer, so that stuff, especially the paper one.
Yeah.
The amount of paper confetti I have tried to scrape off of the ground, I could start a riot. But seeing that, I'm just like, oh my God, you guys are a liability. Their contracts must be signed to hell. Like, they must have lawyers lined out the door for like property damage.
For sure. Let's see. Oh, what did I want to ask you about? There was just something.
What haven't I talked about yet?
Actually, you answered a lot of my questions that I had off the top, but one of them was, was there like a band or a song or a person in your life that initially got you into music, and what was that?
So initially, like, music in general, I have foreign parents, so we didn't really have a lot of like traditional like American bands or even British bands in the house, just because the countries that my parents come from, a lot of shit was banned. So you know, like, you know, where my mom's from, Talking Heads were banned. So, like, you know, right now that sounds like, oh, what the fuck are they banning Talking Heads for? And it's like, oh, political propaganda and shit. So, you know, I grew up on, like, their music, and then at some point I heard, I think the first 2 songs I ever remember, like, hearing and boom, they're in my head is Another Brick in the Wall and Bohemian Rhapsody. You know, the most classic of classics that you could ever hear if you ever listen to music in your life. That was that. And it was mainly my dad who brought that out. And then he kind of like grooved into new wave. So Depeche Mode, not a lot of Eurythmics, but I knew about them. You know, that era kind of stuff. And like here and there, he would have like, you know, what I called my dad's dad rock. So like Alan Parsons Project, Simply Red, the Eagles, you know, that kind of quieter stuff. Yeah. And then when I was in middle school, I had this one friend, she listened to Avenged Sevenfold. And at first I was just like, oh my God, this is really scary. And at some point, I don't know what happened to me, but it dawned on me. I'm like, you know what? I need cooler music. So I just did that. And I remember looking at like top 10 cool songs and shit like that. And it was like, here's Bullet for My Valentine, here's Don't Fall. And I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Oh shit. So there's that rabbit hole. And then I find Fit for Rivals. I find Black Veil Brides. I wasn't too much of a Pierce the Veil Sleeping with Sirens kid just because I didn't like his voice. Like, it was too high for me. It was just like, okay, reel it in, you know? So, got into that. And then from there, what I used to do is I would go on Spotify and I would listen to the bands I'm listening to. You know, I got my Bullet for My Valentine queued up. And YouTube as well. I would do this on there too. And I would just keep going to like recommended related artists. And I would just go through, I'm like, this sounds cool. Boom. Go down that rabbit hole. What is their related artist? And at some point you end up with a band that has like 10 followers and you're listening to it and you're like, holy shit, this is great. So I got crazy shit like Head Wound the Pony, Malignancy, Dysentery, Pyrexia, this crazy shit coming out of New York, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so crazy, they're screaming at me. And then Immortal Suffering was another one of them, and they're like, I'm still following them to this day, like 10 years later. So it was a lot of basically just me like, hey, this sounds cool, let's listen to it, holy shit. And then, you know, I refined my tastes throughout the years because I was like, anything that screamed, I listened to it, and then I would look back and I'm like, dude, we gotta figure something else out. This is a lot of the same stuff. So like I went through a lot of different kinds of music before I like landed on like, hey, these are the playlists that I want to listen to. This is the kind of genres that I gravitate towards, and it always changed. You know, I could never listen to just one band or one thing. And I said that like even when I was researching music, it was like one song from every band I've ever found. And then I would look into them and I'm like, oh, maybe I can see them live. They're dead. Oh, maybe I can see them live. They're in Indonesia. Hey, maybe that. Nope. Like, it was always those kinds of situations. And I would like, I listened to Suicide Silence a year after I found out he died. So, you know, like I got into it like 2013, 2014. He croaked in 2012. So it's like I was just a little late. But now I'm watching a lot of people kind of do what I did, but now, where they're like, damn it, I wish I went to Warped Tour. And I'm just like, holy shit, that was like 10 years ago. Like, they're looking back at it the way I looked at bands at that time. I was like 14. And I remember, oh my God, do you remember Metal Amino? Or like when amino apps were like the tits for finding out your little community? Oh, amino apps. I remember every YouTuber like Jared Dines and stuff would always be like, join my amino, sponsored by amino. And I'm like, what the fuck is amino? And I went on Metal Amino and it was basically like Facebook, but for communities. So it would be people just being like, hey, I'm from the middle of nowhere in the mountains of Kazakhstan. Here's a band I know. And you'd listen to it, and it was like the craziest stuff ever, but it was like 5 people knew about this. Here's the blog post on that. You could do live chats, you can do all of this stuff, and that's where I found so many different bands through that too. It's essentially a dead app right now, like hardly anybody I know uses it, but every once in a while I still go back on my account, because there would also be like a band dictionary on there. So like you just go through like black metal, death metal, Norwegian metal, this kind of metal, that kind of metal. I've never heard of these genres in my life, but I'm like, all right, sounds cool to me. Here we go. So that was another way that I was just like so deep diving into metal. And it would be people that I'm like, you know, this guy's from Mexico, this guy's from this area, and we are all just in the same group chat, just talking about Anthrax, talking about Pantera, you know? It was great.
I love that. Yeah, it's so cool. Let's see. Fester Gore says, followed them down the coast during the Bloody Tour of Horror back in 2011 and saw them throughout the years with Cradle of Filth and CKY. Very cool. I haven't seen I haven't seen them with those bands, but that sounds like an awesome.
It's an interesting lineup.
Yeah,
CKY,
right.
Cradle of Filth, and Guar. What could go wrong?
Radio 717 says, what's up? Finally made it to a show. Bullet for My Valentine is awesome. Yeah, Robison, thank you for jumping in. It's good to see you again, and we appreciate you coming on. We're switching to Tuesdays now. And Steve Couch, thank you for joining also, man. We appreciate it. Let's see. So, and then you started, you're saying you started the blog back in 2014 or 2016?
Yeah, 2014.
So what was the impetus there? You're just like being bombarded by
That
all
was
these
when I was really at the height of my like, oh my God, all of these bands, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was like the peak of me like really going down every rabbit hole I've ever seen. And you know, I went to a tiny, tiny school in the middle of Canadensis.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that's not the place to really go and be like, who's my people? And then the person who introduced me to like Avenged Sevenfold and stuff like that left the school. So I was just kind of like, what am I supposed to do? So like, you know, in comes the internet, good and bad. Again, dumpster fire. So that's when I really started getting into like, that was when I was really deep into Amino. That was when I was doing my rabbit hole, like traversing. So I was just thinking, like, I used to have Instagram just for like me, but at that point, some situation went down at my school where like some people were involved, and it could have been dangerous, so we had to delete our Instagrams. It was a whole thing. I don't even remember what was going on. So I'm like, I mean, I don't want to get off of Instagram, but sure, I'll start it fresh. We're just doing music now, and I had no. This was when what was the freaking app? Flipagram. When that app was still being used to like make short form videos and stuff like that. Stupid app, but I used it. I knew that it existed for stuff like this. So I wasn't really specific to like what band, what genre are they popular, or is it some band from like the middle of nowhere in Ohio? You know, I didn't like do any of that yet. I was just posting songs at that point. That was it.
Yeah.
I had no schedule. I'm just like, hey guys, you want to listen to Meshuggah? We're listening to Night Dweller now. And I just did that and did that and did that. And it started gaining traction. And then I saw like, oh my God, all of these bands are everywhere. I'm just going to follow them all. Yeah. Now I'm at like 5,000 bands or just accounts that I follow. And from there, I'm like, oh, you know, this is doing something. I'm meeting these people. I'm learning about new bands. This is awesome. And then I think like somewhere in high school, I just like did not have the time and the gumption to go too deep into it. So there was that hiatus like 2019-ish where I was just like not consistent on there at all. But then I switched formats where I like had a consistent schedule, sort of. I decided like, you know, like these bands, everybody knows these bands to enough of a degree where I don't think that they need necessarily my help posting about them. And it was around this time, too, that I was way more into the local scene, way more into, like, hey, I'm going to go to see this band that I vaguely know from Jersey. I'm just going to go. Fuck it. And that was when I was really like, you know, these bands are the ones that need to be posted about. So that's what I ended up doing.
Do you go by
yourself? Here we are. Like, now I'm consistent about it. Now I'm like, I don't even know if I know these guys. Boop. Send me your bio. Send me your logo. It's all free. You're getting posted on this day. See ya. You know? So that was really the motivation of it. It was just a matter of me being like, you know, there's no metalheads in my town. There's no metalheads in my area, like, that I know of. And I can't necessarily, like, go out to a show and see them. There are no fucking shows in this area. They're coming back. They're getting better. But, you know, when you're a 14-year-old that, like, cannot leave the house, what the hell are you supposed to do? Yeah. So that was really the main motivator. And I've seen the spectrum of how people react. This is getting to like the point of like why I'm anonymous on my account, you know. This was at the time where everybody was like, oh, you're a girl? You listen to metal? Really? Do you? You really know? And I got tired of that shit. So I just, you know, I wasn't going to stop.
What did they
but
do?
I was also like, you know, fuck this. I'm not showing my face on here. Here's a band. Listen to them.
So what did they do to like test you and see how much metal you know or something?
It was always the stupid like name 3 bands type shit. And it's like, name 3 people who like you. Like, fuck, like go away. Like, it's not that deep. Who cares if I listen to them or not to the extent that you do? Yeah. And I guarantee you 99% of the time, if they tried to name the 3 songs, they couldn't. They have no fucking idea. So it was always the stupidity of it all. And it's like, dude, this is really what you care about in the scene? What? And like, you're a poser, you don't like this band, you don't like Nuclear Assault's first album where it sounded like a calculator? No, I don't. It sounds like shit. Sorry. That's one of the main things where I'm like, oh, you old school metalheads, you need to get a grip. This calculator ass recording does not sound as good as you think it does. You know, it did start something, it started something great, but we need to reel it in, cracky, you know? Like, yeah, so it was always a matter of like, do you actually like this band? Do you know? Can you name what genre they are? Who are the band members? I don't fucking know. They're a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
There it is.
And who really
So it was
cares?
always the stupid. It's definitely a lot better now. Like now, it's not that kind of beat. There's still a lot of like. Again, it's like the old heads that are always like, "Do you know them? Do you know them?" But it's definitely nothing like how it used to be. Especially when you're like a younger kid, everybody wants to test you. But now it's a lot of like, younger kid, come under my wing. We are going to Kettle Decap. You know, it's a lot better now.
That's cool. Just real quick, David M. Long, 1971, thank you for joining. Burden of Guilt, thank you for joining. I think they just played a show this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, so that was really cool. Saw some pictures from that. Do you go to shows by yourself?
No. I will go to almost any show with people. I'll show up to a show by myself, but I know almost everybody there.
Oh, cool.
Kind of thing. You know, first of all, a lot of shows there in areas that I don't particularly want to be in alone. You know, I'm not going to Jabberjaws by myself. I'm barely going to Jabberjaws, period. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to the Funhouse by myself. That's just not a good idea. So it's not a matter of like, oh, fuck you, I'm not going to the show because I have no one to go with. It's a lot of like, hey, unless I know somebody there, I'm not going. Sorry. I've definitely, and if most of the time I've seen the band 4 times. It's not a loss on them or me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll absolutely go to a show by myself or just show up somewhere because I'm like, I definitely know at least one person that's going to this show. It's kind of like, I'm not going to stand by them the whole time. I just need a home base to like recoup with and someone to walk me to my car. That's my concern. That's why and also like the main reason I take friends to shows, it's like, hey, I know this new band. You definitely don't. Let's go.
Yeah.
But it's also a matter of like, listen, I'm not going to this by myself. This is not a good town.
Totally understandable. Shout out to Jabberjaws, though. They also have a pole right in front of the stage.
Oh my God, that thing is such an eyesore.
So crazy.
There is a smidge of room between the stage and that damn pole.
Yeah.
And if you stand in front of it, you are in everybody's way somehow, still.
Yeah, it kind of adds to the character, but it reminds me of like a I don't know, like a sailor, like a port, a sailor bar, like
the port bow.
Yeah, like just crazy pirate kind of people.
Yeah.
All right, just one more question, and then we'll have you like go through your. You also have a ton of followers too, so that's definitely one of the pluses about following everyone is they follow you back, and you make this community as well.
Is it structural? It could be structural. It could just be decorative. I know for a fact the Planet Trog one, it does not touch the ceiling. That thing is just there for lighting, but it's still like it has no structure to itself. It's just there.
Why are you there?
Oh my God. There was one time, Menstrual Tramps, Informal Society, Hobo Houston, and Anti-Citizen, Planet Trog. It's a punk show, so we all fucking circle pit. We all 2-step around it. We're circling that motherfucker and we're screaming, fuck the pole, the whole time. The whole time. Didn't matter what song was playing. Fuck the pole, the whole time. It was a beautiful act of unity against the common hate.
Put it to some good use.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, one more question, and then we'll do your tagging stuff again and make sure everyone knows to follow you.
Yeah.
And we'll wrap it up. But have you ever considered like booking a show, or have you ever done anything like that?
Have I considered it, and have I wanted to do something like that? Absolutely. Do I have the time? Do I have the knowledge of how to do something like that safely, securely, and legally?
Yeah.
Nope.
Gotcha.
I see a lot of my friends doing it, and like I said, I'm an audience member. I'm a proud badge-wearing audience member and supporter and blogger, and that's as good as I think I'm going to get with this. I encourage every one of my friends to do something like that, or at least do the stuff that I do, where it's just like, dude, just repost it. Just repost it. Doesn't matter. Yep. Repost that shit. You know, but a lot of my friends, you know, the bass player of Morbid Cross, he's booking shows at VFW in Elmer's. It's Elmer's Grange.
Okay, cool.
He's booking shit over there. You know, it's a VFW. It's all ages. You know, shit like that. Fuzzy Cat Booking. Shout out to Fuzzy Cat Booking. They're always booking the Ice House and shit like that. You know, they're a trio. They're awesome doing that type of stuff. So I'm all for people doing that. And I wish I had the time and I'm also not home. You know, I'm in college right now, so it's even more difficult to do that kind of shit. But if I could, I absolutely fucking would. We need more all ages shows. For sure. You know, that's my main gripe with a lot of the music scene, especially in the Valley.
That makes sense. The Philly scene, have you been a part of that at all?
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with the Philly scene.
Yes.
I have a love-hate relationship with almost every scene I've ever witnessed myself. But people in Philly do not realize how lucky they are, is what I've noticed a lot. People are always like, not enough people are coming to our shows, this, that, and the other. And it's like, dude, you have shows. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have a metal scene. You don't have to work to find people who want to do it. It's just that you're doing it in Kensington and you expect people to roll up to it in some fucking house that's falling apart. We need to be a little realistic there. I love the Philly music venues. Shout out Union Transfer, Brooklyn Bowl. I fucking love Brooklyn Bowl. Fillmore. You know, these are the big venues, but like, you know, shout out to Philly venues. I love what Philly is able to do. There's definitely people who need to get off that high horse, who need to just accept that it's not the DIY cassettes anymore. We love it. We love it aesthetically, but we need to stop thinking that that works anymore. You know, it's again the repulsion of social media. We need to utilize the dumpster fire that is social media. That's how you get shows. I love the Philly scene, but I also just want to like strangle some of the people in it, as with any scene.
No doubt. I lived down there for 7 years and played in bands down there all over the place too. And it was a little bit crab in the bucket mentality where everyone's like, they don't want to see anyone succeed at all.
Oh God,
so they can all be
forbid. Yeah. God, oh my God. But small towns are the worst at it though. Like one town makes it out of Lehighton. One town makes it out of Palmerton, out of Scranton, out of God knows where, out of Canadensis. Yeah. God forbid. How dare they? How dare they gain traction and play somewhere else other than the bum bar that they found? Yeah. Like, and God forbid someone plays at their venue. It's an affront to everything they've done. Get off, dude. Collaborate. Maybe then you'll both have the following that you've always been yelling about. Ooh, that's it. Magical.
Right on the nose. I think that's a great place to kind of wrap things up too. Is like
yelling about the music scene.
No, realizing, like, getting these people to realize, like, helping other people is really what makes both of you move forward.
Yeah, giving other people a following does not take away yours. You can follow multiple people at once. It's the beauty of Instagram. You don't have a limited amount. I follow 5,000 people. Clearly, nobody is missing out. You know, it's that easy. You can both be on the same lineup and not take away from each other. It's totally fine. So what if everybody's, everything's been done 30 times over. Accept it, do a thing together, get the following, and go home. On to the next. It's that easy.
There's room on stage for everyone, and I feel like
there's barely room on stage for one most of the time. There's some venues that need to get bigger stages and not the pallet skid with a carpet. But metaphorically, there is room on stage for everyone.
Yes. And Ro Bison, thank you for all your comments about the polls in front of stages across the Lehigh Valley. We appreciate it, or across the region.
I think that's my next blog. That's my next blog. Themes in the middle of nowhere venues.
I love that. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight, and everyone here. We appreciate you also for joining and jumping in and commenting. So yeah, I just want to plug your stuff one more time and let everyone know where they can find you and follow you.
Absolutely. So this is the only account that I have for any of my music promo stuff. If anybody knows any bands that want to get a promo, or you want to get a promo for your stuff, I don't care if it's a radio station, podcast, I've done all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Just DM me. It's all completely free. If you have a show flyer that you want me to throw up, I'm throwing it up on the story all the time. Um, yeah, that's my shtick. I just post stuff every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday most of the time when I remember to schedule things in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm posting everybody. I'm posting everything. Rock, metal, mayhem, anything loud. Shout out to for certain venues, we got to give it up to the Sherman Showcase. Got to give it up to the Fun House, the
Hell yeah.
Ice House, every other house that they have in the Valley. Planet Trog. It's not Club Carrigan's. Fucking Trog.
Yeah.
Give it up for them. Support your fucking music scene. I say that as nicely as I can. Support your music scene. Repost everything. It doesn't matter if your account is about one thing or another. Just give it a repost. It's all of 10 seconds less of your life. Go to the shows, even if you don't know anybody on the lineup. They're your next favorite band, guaranteed. Shout out to Morbid Cross. Shout out to Cruel Bomb, Dissensions, Buzzherd. Who else we got screaming? Oh, Bellwether Ritual, but they're kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to your local music show. You have no idea what it means to people when you show up out of nowhere and you say, "Fuck it, I love music, and I'm gonna love you guys."
Great, great way to wrap it all up. Rebecca of Rock Metal Mayhem Music Blog. Make sure to check her out and give her a follow. I do appreciate you too, really coming on here. I know anonymity is like your thing, so I really do appreciate you coming on here and talking with me. So
Yeah,
yeah, and then hopefully run into you at a show sometime
you
soon.
got
So keep in touch.
it, dude.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank,
much, Rebecca, and thank you
thank
everyone else
you.
for jumping in. And have a great night.
Have a good night.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.